Hey everyone, today I want to talk to you about a book that isn't just a great read, but one that could genuinely change the way you approach challenges in every part of your life, whether it's at work, with your family, or even just your personal goals. We're diving into Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. Now, if you've heard of it, you might know it comes from the world of Navy SEALs, combat, and leadership. And yes, it's packed with intense, gripping stories from the battlefield in Ramadi, Iraq. But what makes this book truly special is how these high-stakes lessons, forged in the crucible of war, translate directly to any team, any organization, and even your own daily life. The authors, Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, both served as Navy SEAL officers, leading Task Unit Bruiser during some of the heaviest urban combat in Ramadi, Iraq. In 2006, their experiences, successes, and even their mistakes became the foundation for these powerful leadership principles. So, what's the big idea? At its core, the book argues that leaders must take extreme ownership, absolute ownership, not just for what they are directly responsible for, but for everything that impacts their mission. It's about casting no blame, making no excuses, and instead focusing entirely on finding solutions and solving problems. This isn't some fluffy self-help jargon, it's a brutal, honest truth that the authors learn firsthand. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine Jocko Willink, the task unit commander, during a kayak operation in Ramadi. In the fog of war, as they call it, a friendly fire incident occurred, injuring one of his own SEALs and killing an Iraqi soldier. When the investigation started, people were looking for someone to blame. But Jocko didn't point fingers. Even though many mistakes were made by different individuals and units, he took complete ownership, stating simply, "There is only one person to blame for this, me. I am the commander. I am responsible for the entire operation." This isn't about being a martyr, it's about setting the example and holding yourself accountable, which surprisingly actually increases trust and respect within the team. When leaders truly own the failures, it empowers the team to learn, develop solutions, and ultimately win. This brings us to another powerful concept: there are no bad teams, only bad leaders. This might sound harsh, but the book drives it home with an incredible story from SEAL training's infamous Hell Week. Leif Babin, then a SEAL instructor, witnessed two boat cruise teams of 7 men carrying heavy inflatable boats through grueling physical challenges. One crew, Boat Crew E, was consistently winning, while Boat Crew Y was always last, full of bickering and frustration. The instructor swapped the leaders of these two crews. And guess what happened? Boat Crew Y, with the new leader, went from last place to first almost immediately. The team's individuals didn't change, only the leader did. This demonstrated that the leader's attitude sets the tone, drives performance, and ultimately determines success or failure. So you might be thinking, okay, but how do I get my team to believe in what we're doing? Especially if I'm not totally convinced myself, the authors address this directly with the principle of belief. When Jocko's SEALs were told they had to operate alongside often poorly trained and unmotivated Iraqi soldiers, their initial reaction was hell no. Jocko himself initially doubted the mission, but instead of complaining, he stepped back and asked the crucial question: why? He realized that if the Iraqis couldn't secure their own country, American forces would be stuck there for generations. Once he understood the strategic why, he could explain it clearly to his troops, and their understanding and belief drove their commitment to the mission. The lesson here is clear: if you, as a leader, don't understand or believe in the mission, you must ask questions up the chain of command until you do. Only then can you genuinely inspire your team. Another common pitfall for leaders: ego. The book emphasizes the importance of checking your ego. Ego can cloud judgment, prevent you from taking good advice, and even make you resistant to constructive criticism. Leif shares a story of a new Special Operations unit in Ramadi whose American advisors flaunted undisciplined appearance and refused to coordinate plans with the experienced Army battalion they were working with. Due to their perceived superiority, their ego and lack of humility ultimately led to them being removed from the combat outpost. In a business context, Leaf helped a manager named Gary deal with a drilling superintendent who bypassed procedures. Gary's ego was bruised, but Leaf advised him to take ownership first. This isn't his fault. It's yours. You're in charge. By dropping his own ego and approaching the conversation from a place of personal responsibility, Gary could have a constructive dialogue and resolve the issue. The next principle is cover and move. It's all about teamwork and mutual support. Leaf recalls a time during an exfil in Ramadi when his team was under fire. His chief pointed out that Leaf had forgotten to coordinate with another SEAL sniper team, opponent who could have provided cover fire for their movement. Even though his immediate team used cover and move, he neglected the greater team. This demonstrated that all elements within a team, even different departments or subsidiary companies, must break down silos and support one another. Because the enemy is out there, not within your own organization. And speaking of clarity, the principle of simple is paramount. When plans are too complicated, people don't understand them, and when things go wrong, which they always do in combat or business, complexity only creates disaster. Jocko describes a U.S. Army officer's initial patrol plan in Ramadi that was ridiculously complex, crossing multiple battle spaces and requiring too much coordination. Jocko pushed him to simplify this a little bit, and it likely saved lives when the patrol inevitably got into a fierce firefight. In a business example, the authors recount how a pharmaceutical company's bonus system for its production staff was so unbelievably complex that employees had no idea how their bonuses were calculated or what they should focus on. It didn't incentivize anything effectively. By simplifying it to just two core metrics, weighted units and quality, productivity increased almost immediately. Simplicity equals clarity, and clarity leads to effective execution when faced with overwhelming situations. Leaders need to prioritize and execute. Leif recounts a harrowing situation in Ramadi where his SEAL team was exposed on a rooftop and he was about to detonate. A SEAL had just fallen through the roof and enemy fighters were attacking. Faced with a cascade of problems, he had to remain calm and determine the absolute highest priority: set security. Once security was established, they moved to the next priority: getting to the wounded man and getting off the exposed roof. This sequential tackling of problems prevents paralysis and ensures focus. In a business setting, a pharmaceutical CEO had numerous impressive initiatives, but the company was losing money. Jocko advised him to focus on one single highest priority: the sales force activity management, and give it 100% of the company's attention. The singular focus unified efforts and quickly gained momentum, demonstrating the power of prioritizing. Then there's decentralized command. You see, no single leader can effectively manage dozens, let alone hundreds, of people, especially in chaotic environments. The solution is to break teams into manageable elements, 4-6 people with clearly designated leaders, empowering those junior leaders to make decisions within the overall commander's intent. Jocko recounts how he empowered his platoon commanders in Ramadi, trusting them to make tactical decisions while he focused on the bigger strategic picture. This decentralization was critical to preventing friendly fire incidents, like one where U.S. Bradley almost engaged SEALs because of a misidentified building. By allowing junior leaders to act decisively within clear boundaries, the team becomes far more effective. Of course, none of this works without a solid plan. The book emphasizes a standardized planning process that begins with mission analysis and identifying a clear end state. Leif details a hostage rescue mission where new intelligence revealed aids and bunkered machine gun positions just before launch. They were able to proceed because their initial planning had already accounted for and mitigated such risks, maintaining surprise and executing flawlessly. The authors highlight the importance of delegating planning to junior leaders, giving them ownership and buy-in, which also allows senior leaders to stand back and be the tactical genius, identifying weaknesses from a broader perspective. And don't forget the post-operational debrief after every mission, a crucial step for continuous learning and improvement. But leadership isn't just about leading down, it's also about leading up and down the chain of command. Leif himself admits his initial frustration with higher headquarters in Faluna, constantly asking what seemed like ludicrous questions and demanding massive paperwork. Jocko explained that if their superiors weren't making timely decisions or providing support, the first place to look was themselves. They realized they weren't effectively pushing situational awareness up the chain by providing extremely detailed plans and reports. Inviting superiors to the field and helping them understand the challenges and strategic context, they built trust and their missions received swift approval. Similarly, leaders must also let down by consistently explaining the why of the mission to their frontline troops so they connect their daily tasks to the bigger picture. This kind of leadership also requires decisiveness amid uncertainty. In combat, you rarely have all the information, and outcomes are never 100% certain. Leif recalls a critical moment when his sniper, Chris Kyle, spotted a guy with a scoped weapon in a building. Despite pressure from the army company commander to engage, Leif held back because they couldn't positively identify the target. And there were friendly troops nearby. It turned out to be a U.S. soldier with his rifle. That decisive choice, born from caution and the understanding that some decisions can't be undone, prevented a catastrophic friendly fire incident. In business, the authors illustrate this by advising a CEO to decisively fire two high-performing but constantly bickering senior engineers. Despite the uncertainty and risk of losing talent, the leaders understood that their continued conflict was a cancer that would destroy the team, and decisive action was necessary to protect the company's long-term health. Finally, the book culminates with discipline equals freedom, the dichotomy of leadership. It's a profound idea. While discipline seems restrictive, it actually unlocks freedom. Jocko shares how in Baghdad, their initial ransack method for searching buildings was messy and inefficient, taking 45 minutes and often missing crucial intelligence. By implementing a disciplined, standardized search procedure, assigning clear roles and tasks, they reduced search time to 10 minutes and could hit multiple targets a night, dramatically increasing their freedom to operate. The book also dives into the inherent dichotomies of leadership: being confident but not cocky, brave but not foolhardy, aggressive but not overbearing, humble but not passive. The key, they explain, is to find the equilibrium between these opposing forces. A leader, for example, might be very loyal, but if that loyalty jeopardizes the entire company, it's out of balance. Andy, a CEO, had to make the tough, disciplined decision to shut down a loss-making division, despite it being led by an old friend. This discipline to shut this hatch ultimately saved the company and allowed it to invest in more profitable areas. So what does this all mean for you? Extreme Ownership isn't just a military book, it's a guide to being an effective leader and a better human being in any context. It challenges you to look inward first when problems arise, to take responsibility, to learn, and to continually strive for improvement. You might be thinking, how do I even start with all this, especially if I'm new to a leadership role or feel like an imposter? The authors in their podcast Q&A say it's completely normal to feel that way. Be humble, ask good questions, listen to people, and work hard. Don't try to hide what you don't know. Don't do a leadership comb-over. People will respect your honesty and willingness to learn. Or maybe, what if my own leader is weak or ineffective? Jocko's advice: you lead, pick up their slack, come up with the plan, mentor the team, and take the blame when things go wrong. This isn't about stepping on their toes, it's about making them look good indirectly. When you take ownership, you gain respect and credibility, even from your weak leader's boss. It's an opportunity to step up and make things happen. And what about micromanaging? Does it ever work? Yes, they say, but only as a temporary tool. If someone isn't performing, you might need to micromanage them to get them up to speed or when you're mentoring them. But once they have a handle on it, you must step back and let them lead. Finally, how does a leader recover from mistakes? And can they ever fully regain trust? The answer is simple: own it. The worst thing you can do is try to avoid blame. When you admit a mistake, you immediately start regaining trust. People don't expect perfection, but they expect honesty and integrity. This book is a powerful reminder that leadership is simple but not easy. It's a continuous journey of learning, adapting, and relentless effort. By understanding and applying these principles, extreme ownership, no back teams, believe, check the ego, cover and move, simple, prioritize and execute, decentralized command, plan, leading up and down, decisiveness amid uncertainty, and discipline equals freedom. You can truly transform yourself and your team. It empowers you to stop making excuses, take action, and aggressively drive towards mission accomplishment. So, if you're looking to elevate your leadership, build stronger teams, or just gain a deeper understanding of success in life, I highly recommend picking up Extreme Ownership. It's a profound call to action. Embrace the burden of command, lead, and win.